Hi.
There she is. Yay, we did it.
So fun.
How are you?
Hi, friend.
Hi.
Is
I've got the new shirt you sent over to me.
Oh, I do too.
Yay.
Be kind to your mind.
Be kind to your mind, right? So cute. Katie, where can someone find this shirt? I meant to ask you that.
Yeah, so if someone looked up boldness with a bun on Instagram, one boldness with a bun. You can find your shirts there, and then there's a Break the Stigma sweatshirt as well. And they're also, I mean, as you can attest, they're really warm and cozy. So
Yes, I very, very cozy, especially on this not so bright day. It's nice to feel cozy and happy, and a special gift that you gave to me. So
it is good. Enjoy.
good. There's lots of people I see. Katie, can you see the names showing up here?
I can. I'm on my phone. I was trying to do my iPad, but I was having trouble with that. But yes,
Technology.
if you have a bigger screen, you might be able to guide us a little bit more.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Welcome.
Yes.
So I
Hi.
think, well, what time is it? I think I was trying to be on time, but now that I'm on my phone, I'm looking at my watch. I think we'll get started in a couple of seconds. So I've grabbed my tea and my favorite Golden Girls mugs. For those of you who know me, I'm a huge Golden Girls fan.
Oh,
I even tried to name my daughter Beatrice with the middle name Arthur, but my husband was on to me.
caught you. Yes.
He caught me. He caught me. So, but I'm so excited to get started. Welcome, everyone. So good. Thanks, guys, for coming in. This is so nice to have a great conversation today. What wonderful people.
Yes. It's so exciting. Bring up a little snack and then
Good. Have your snack, grab your water, grab your tea, and we'll get started chatting. Well, why don't we get started? I'll just quickly introduce myself. My name's Leah Bostrom, and I am the founder of Chia Leah. I've been a certified health coach for 8 years now, and actually my journey with depression and along with some other issues led me to being a health coach, which we'll get into a little bit more. And after I started health coaching a couple of years later, I was inspired by working with my clients, giving them special recipes that I'd created so that they could eat what they wanted and enjoy their nutrition a little bit more. So we decided to go ahead and give those recipes a try, and we were baking out of my kitchen. My cousin and I were baking up a storm and started selling our treats at a farmer's market. And actually, that's how I met Katie, through mutual friends at a farmer's market at Iowa Farm Foundation a couple of years ago. And since then, we've grown Chia Leah, and I know you and I will talk a little bit more about our businesses, but it's just been a real, very special pleasure and a gift to get to know Katie as a colleague, as a support, as a friend, and as another advocate for mental health awareness, and just, you know, getting the conversation out there and keeping it real. I know it's something very important to both of us. So I wanted to go ahead and let Katie have the floor. Katie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and just, you know, let's get started.
Absolutely. So my name's Katie Ford, for those of you that I don't know. I am a mother of 4 and a happily married person to Tom, the original Tom Ford, I say. I am a florist. In my flower business grew out of my struggles with mental illness. So back in, I mean, I'm kind of jumping right in, but
Let's do it.
A florist and a mom, my mom being the #1 job. Mental health advocacy is truly the #1 mission in my world. I'm one of great faith, and I, after struggling what I I went through and at my darkest times, um, and then healing over time, it was very important to me to tell my story. And so I hit the depths of my illness in 2014. And Leah, interrupt or ask questions or whatever, because I also want to hear your journey. Um, we were traveling east and we were coming home, and out of the blue, truly, it was like this cloud came over me. I was surrounded by my family. We were in a beautiful setting, and I just started having these terrible thoughts, and they were so alarming and scary and so opposite my personality that it it just sent me into a spiral. And what I was starting to experience out of the blue again, the only symptom I've had was that I had a really bad ache in the back of my head. It was really bothering me, and I remember rolling on a tennis ball, and I must have been carrying a lot of stress back there. But I started having OCD with intrusive thoughts, and my thoughts were of self-harm, but also harm of my kids. Um, and if you knew me, you'd know that that's totally opposite my personality. So to out of the blue have these thoughts of harming my children. Um, I remember I was putting our youngest to bed, and I I just had an image of a knife, holding the knife, and standing over him, and it it just sent me into the depths of darkness. And I was not thinking rationally. I didn't know if I was going to do that, if I was going to grab a knife and I was going to act on my intrusive thoughts. But for about a year, so I hit rock bottom with those thoughts. It took me some time to realize that I was going to be okay. In the meantime, treating that, I immediately told my husband, who had been supportive from day one. And then, of course, I couldn't share it with my children at the time. In 2014, they were 5 through 10. They know my story now and are supportive. But Tom, my husband, became, very supportive and concerned. My mom and my extended family from around the country had to come in and kind of take turns being with me. I didn't feel comfortable being alone in my thoughts. And it was mostly knife related. So through time, we had to hide the knives. I couldn't be around them. They spurred all these thoughts. And it was very, very scary and life changing. 2014 to about the middle of 2015. And only my husband and a few close friends knew actually what I was going through. And I am grateful to those who supported me unconditionally through that time. But outside in, the regular world, I was me, and there was nothing going on and nothing unusual. I was, I've always tried to be the happy person, and that's very genuine. It's not made up. But when you go out into the world and you appear one way, but when in your brain you're really suffering, but you don't have the support that you need, times become really, really hard. So that led me to my flowers and the healing process. And in 2017, a friend's son had committed suicide, and I remember being up in my room and I was like, I have got to do something. I have got to do something. So I wrote a very long Facebook post and went very public with my mental health issue and illness. And it kind of spurred me on and empowered me. And of course, it opened me to a lot of vulnerability, but it allowed me to take on this new role as a face for mental health, at least here in our community, and I hope in other places, just through sharing my story. So that's a little starter about me. But Leah, can you share with me?
I have to. I'm sure everybody listening. I mean, it's so brave to share this and to be vulnerable. I also know for me, over the years, I've held in so much, and people close to me know more, but it's very hard to put yourself out there when you're already struggling inside. At least for me, more. I already have enough negative stuff going on, so I know for me that it's hard to share. So I just appreciate you so much for being honest and for putting that out there, because I think people really, humans need humans. We relate to each other. We need to take care of each other, and kindness goes such a long way. Even in, someone listening in who's never met you and just heard your story, you just impacted them. And everybody's listening for one reason or another. But I think what it comes down to is just, we never know what someone's going through, right? And just to, especially in this crazy world right now, just to keep being kind and also just listening. And I'm working very hard at listening, especially with my family, because I always want to fix the problem right away. Because in many ways I can't fix my own problem, so I will help you, right? But just to take it in and listen and really, I just thank you. You mean so much to me, and sharing that is, you're courageous, Katie Ford. So thank you.
Thank you. And Leah, in your, being your friend and knowing what you do, what spurred on your health coaching and healthy lifestyle?
So from about middle of high school, I had a situation where I just sort of went inward and couldn't, I didn't know who to turn to or what to do, and I didn't want to be judged, and I didn't trust that I could share what was going on with me. And so I just went into this depression where, outwardly I was doing what I needed to do, and it was so exhausting being the peppy Leah who I am, just like you are. I mean, I dance in the kitchen for fun, and that's who I am. But I was able to seek help through a local youth health organization, and find a therapist who said to me, it's okay to have these feelings. She really validated my depression and my ideations and really tried to work with me. And my journey really was, though, it was sort of like a hidden experience with depression. Nobody could know, because look at me, I have a wonderful life, and how could I be depressed, right? It's so, for me, it was sort of finding that, first of all, acceptance that this was going on, and that it was okay to feel sad and to feel lonely and to not know what to do and to seek help. But it was a journey that still goes on to this day. But really the turning point is I went away to college. I grew up in Wilmette, outside of Chicago. Yay, Thrillmet. Went away to school in Colorado, in Boulder. And started experimenting with things like acupuncture, which back in the 90s was very woo-woo, but not in Boulder. Nothing, you know, everything goes in Boulder. And for those of you who have like listened to my talks about nutritional yeast, you know, I mean, Boulder is, it's very progressive with, you know, nutrition and just alternative ways of getting healthy. And my therapist there said to me, and I have been on many different medications, but so many of them were so numbing that I couldn't like get out of my fog. And my therapist said to me, well, what are you doing to, like, are you sleeping? Like, what do you eat? Are you active? And I just sat there thinking, this is such a waste of my time. Why is she asking me these questions? This has nothing to do with me feeling so down and not being able to get out of this deep,
Right.
you know, depression. And I said that to her. I was like, what does this have to do with anything? And she said, the way that you live can really impact your overall mood and your overall health. I mean, it sounds so silly right now to even say it out loud. But it also, I wasn't sleeping.
So powerful,
It's
because
so powerful.
I got to where I was as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so it doesn't. It's not all or nothing. It's like, you know. So slowly, I started thinking about sleep, a lack of sleep being a trigger for me,
Mhm.
where I couldn't think straight, and I would, my mind just went to these dark places, and that's when I would just sort of cocoon and not, you know, not be able to get out of bed because I just couldn't deal with life. And anyway, so I realized, okay, if I at least start trying to sleep and, you know, have that good sleep hygiene, that would be a start. And that sort of catapulted into some other healthy lifestyle habits. You know, I love to hike. I love to
Right.
be out in nature. I love to get out of my head. No, you know, I don't want to be in this place. I want, and so I really did take to getting out more, being in nature, connecting with people who also, you know, want, and also when, to me, I really would connect with people on a deeper level, being out
Right.
on hikes and feeling vulnerable. Am I going to slide down this mountain? And that was really, you know, I manage my, you know, my depression on a daily basis. And I know you feel this way too, but we put things out there on Instagram and on social media, and we are, you know, productive people when we're trying to build these businesses, but man, is it hard. And to have an underlying condition and work through it is a lot of work. And as you said, you know, I'm healing every day. I, but I also really feel like it should be shared, that it's okay, you know, to be in this place and to have to ask for help and to be able to share.
Right.
And, you know, I just hope that being open and honest about it will, that that'll just help someone else feel like, okay, I need to ask for help. And I know, Katie, you feel this way, but, you know, I'm always available. Reach out to me. You're never alone, because feeling lonely is, it's scary.
It is. It is. And I mean, to just build upon what you said, you know, feeling vulnerable. I think it was, you know, opening up and sharing a story that you actually feel empowered and, yes, vulnerable, but it so allows you to not feel alone. And I'm going to share a story. So back in 20, um, so it was in, so 2014 was really when I hit rock bottom. And then um, in 2016, I went, a friend of mine who I had shared my story with took me to an OCD Anonymous meeting. And so by this time, I'm about a year and a half into my OCD with intrusive thoughts and suicidal ideations. And I met a man named Brian, and it took him, one person, to change my life and how I saw my illness, because he had exactly what I had. And just knowing that I wasn't alone in my crazy thoughts that were so opposite me, um, he changed my life. And I think he inspired me also to share my story and want to help others. And you do take a, I mean, you do take a risk in doing that. And I was most worried about my family when I went public with everything, especially my kids, but they know me well enough to know that that's not me, and that's the brain chemicals, and um, that's just a predisposition I have in my brain. And that's where thoughts go. And talking about, mental illness, it is biological. It's you could be predisposed at a young age with a mental illness, but it might not rear its ugly head at you until you are older, adolescent, and I'm kind of moving into the adolescent period. It's so important to make sure we're keeping an eye on adolescents, because here this predisposition is in your biological makeup, but it might not show itself until you're in your 20s or 30s. And um, it's so true. Fortunately, I have people reaching out for help or references for therapists or what have you, and often they're 20-year-olds, early 20s, late 20s, and they're in new situations, college, work, and they all of a sudden start struggling. And it's so important to keep a close eye on that population and let them understand that these are normal. This Nothing's changed in you. It's more situational, and it's been in there, but it's coming out because of stressors in life, changes of environment, um, biological changes. I know in women the hormonal changes can occur, but it's really important to realize that we have predispositions, biological, genetic, and it essentially it's okay to not be okay, and to be real with each other and genuine and to share. And I mean, there's so many things I want to talk about. We don't even have enough time, but um, I lost a beloved brother to suicide in 2006, and that in itself changed my life. It changed the life, especially of my parents. They've never been the same since. And just trying to better understand where he was when he was taken by suicide. So there's so much going on and so much yet to be done. And I I um, I have some statistics that I wanted to share just about 56% of the US adults are not getting proper treatment for mental health. So I really feel like that's something we need as a society to focus on. And it's 1 in 5 Americans that do struggle with a mental illness. And to have those 1 in 5 people struggling, but not getting the help they need, I mean, that's a really, really uh, huge figure. And hopefully we'll see more initiatives going on. I know that Northwestern Lake Forest Hospital, their new initiative they just announced is mental health and providing more health care for those who suffer from mental illness. So I could go on and on. I'm sorry, Leah. You
No,
pipe.
Katie, never apologize. I'm just, I'm just thinking about so many things. And for those of you listening in, if you have a great resource or anything that you can share in the comments about, so that we can say it out loud, just about local resources. And I mean, I think, first of all, to lose someone in your life to suicide is life-changing and heartbreaking, and to talk about it so that, again, we can get the stigma, we can stop the stigma and really get it's like normalize this conversation. I mean, we talk about cancer, we talk about COVID. Mental health is an illness. We need more support around it. We need to talk about it more. And as you said, it's not who you are. It's something biological that you struggle with. And I think that I was curious, Katie, what you and I had talked a little bit about different organizations out there that we support, or resources for people locally and nationally. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, it's afsp.org. That's a really wonderful organization that a dear friend of mine is very involved with. And there's also many local organizations, but can you speak to that? Do you have any of those that you can share?
Yes, absolutely. So Go Lead, which is based in, it's called Lead, but it's based in Lake Forest. It's got a text-to-tip hotline for those who are having suicidal ideations. It's targeted at youth, teens, to have a resource.
So important.
It is, just to be able, and it's national. They're growing with the text-to-tip. I think it's in Florida and the Southeast, and it's really growing. So lead.org, and NAMI, which is the National Alliance Against Mental Illness. I can't recommend that enough, because there are all these satellite offices throughout the US. And then someone Shar Walker
Shar.
just shared with the postpartum.net, and to speak to that, that is so wonderful, for these young moms who have kiddos and struggle right away. The postpartum network is amazing, and I know they have hotlines as well. There's so many amazing organizations on the North Shore of Chicago. That's where Leah and I live. You've got Compass, which is an in and outpatient center for young adults. Plana, which is also in Northbrook. It's more for children, young children who suffer from mental illnesses. The Jocelyn Center in Northfield. You have Pause for Patrick. They provide emotional support animals to people who suffer from mental illnesses, anxiety, social anxiety. They will help match you with a dog, and the dog becomes trained, and it's called an emotional support animal. Again, that's Pause for Patrick. There's just so many amazing organizations, but those are just to name a few.
Yeah, and those are, I always learn something from you. So I wrote down a couple of those that I was not aware of. Also, I think it's important to mention all the underserved communities where it's so hard to find support for mental health for any of us, but especially those in the underserved communities. I know that Northwestern Settlement House has, they are working to do more programming for mental health as well.
Okay.
So that's a great one to look into. And of course, maybe you and I can compile a list of these and put them up on a post soon here, because whether or not you suffer from mental illness, all of us know someone who does, or we know that we can give back to those who need more help and support. So I just appreciate that so much, all these ideas.
And that is, Leah, I mean, that's the number one, when people reach out, it's to provide. They have questions about where to maybe find a therapist. And these days, there's so many people who are not receiving the help they need.
Right.
The percentage is so huge. The pandemic set us back, especially with young adults. There's such an uptick in depression and suicide for those who suffered through the pandemic, being isolated, not being in school. And so, reach out to one of us. And, I have a arm's length list of therapists I can recommend and organizations. And Youth and Family Services, which is local, it's in Libertyville, it's free. Again, Youth and Family Services that offers free counseling and support for families. But that is, I think, as a society, we really need to start providing mental health and allowing it to be available to all. Because it is affecting everyone. And right now, all of my therapist friends who I work with and refer, they're like, Katie, I have no room. And so
They're so busy. Yeah.
They're busy, and thankfully they can usually refer another therapist. So we've got to work on that. But if anyone has any recommendations, you can DM Leah or I. And some of the organizations like Youth and Family Services, it's free, so you don't need to have insurance, but so many places you do. And hopefully, we can make a change with that eventually.
Well, Katie, I was curious if you could please share. I know you'd mentioned how you started Flowers by Katie Ford, and it started in your kitchen, and you're such a giving person. Always doing things for others, and all of a sudden the original Tom Ford said to you, you're pretty good at this. You should really make a business out of it. So I was hoping you could share that with those who don't know the full story of how you came from flowers in your kitchen, healing, to a full-fledged store with an amazing team that you work with.
Absolutely. Thank you, Leah. So Flowers by Katie Ford, so during my healing process, I'd go to Jewel, I'd go to a local florist, I'm on the square, Twigs, and I would just buy flowers. And it was such a healing thing for me to do, working with my hands. I had no previous experience with flower arranging. I'm a special ed teacher by trade. And I would just be in my kitchen and I would start arranging and learning, and I'd start learning the names of flowers just by visiting the various local florists. And Tom and I were doing a little entertaining, and I did the flowers. And Tom is the greatest, my sweet husband, but he's also my biggest critic. And he saw some work that I did. It was on our counter, and he said, "Oh, that's amazing. So-and-so did such a great job," the name of a local florist. I'm like, I actually did that. He's like, "Okay, Katie, you gotta run with this. You've got to run with this." Yeah. So Flowers by Katie Ford started in the basement, and then we moved to the kitchen, and then we moved out to the garage for 2.5 years. And now we are in a shop in Lake Bluff, and I truly feel I'm one of great faith. I rely on my faith and spirituality so much, and I feel like God really intervened and showed me the way to healing through flowers. So I'm eternally grateful.
Well, I can attest to the fact that your arrangements are stunning, and it's perfect that you bring such happiness to people by way of flowers, and not just the beauty, but just the smell, just everything about it. And so I love the story. I love that you've shared with me a lot about. I mean, we've spoken about starting up businesses, and it
Yeah.
takes a team. And I know the people that surround me, who I work with. It's as we all know, there's no I in team. We all work together. We have so much fun, but we work really hard, and we problem solve on a daily basis. So I always love hearing about the people that you work with as well. And
It's a I have the greatest team, and some have come and gone, but we still remain like a flower
of
family.
course,
Um,
flower family. I love that.
yeah, it's true, and they know the ins and outs of everything and the silly quirks, and um, one thing I do, I still struggle with my intrusive thoughts and how I take that out. I do a lot of skin picking. Um, my back looks like it's been graphed over and over again, but it's just all these self-inflicted wounds in my legs. I'm always kind of it's my coping mechanism for dealing with it is this picking, and it doesn't go away overnight. I still take medication and work with a therapist and psychiatrist, but um, it's so much better. And the tools that are in your belt for coping with all these things are something happy to share with anyone. So there's just so much I want to talk about.
There's so much, and I hope we can continue the conversation. And I'm so grateful for those of you who are listening, and
Yeah.
please reach out to us and share any thoughts you have. I hope that Katie and I feel so strongly about putting useful information out there, and also putting kindness and hope out there for anybody struggling, because you're not alone.
No.
Sometimes you feel alone, but you're not. And we had the biggest hug last week, Katie, and it was so authentic, and it was beautiful. So I just am grateful to you for suggesting that we get together and talk about this, and really share openly. So I thank you again, and
I'm
I
so
really
grateful.
appreciate it.
Oh, I feel so grateful, Leah, for this endeavor and partnership, and you're a true friend and an inspiration. And please reach out with any questions for Leah and I, and just know you are not alone. That's truly what this is about. Took one person for me to make the world a better place, and if we can do that for you, please reach out. So lots of love to you, Leah, and everyone out there. Thank you for tuning in. So
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Bye, Katie.
bye.